Welcome back, guys. This is episode number 5 of Calm India. In this episode, we are going to learn about thought spirals. We are going to learn about the 12 different negative thinking patterns, which will help us identify them and remove them from inside our heads. To help us achieve this, we're going to meet a very special character who goes by the name of Swami. You'll find out soon enough what I'm talking about. This is a spiral. Sometimes your mind gets into negative thought spirals. What this means is that you may be doing something completely unrelated, and then out of the blue, a thought pops into your head. And the moment that happens, it leads to another negative thought, and that leads to another thought. And before you know it, you're just going spiraling down into a really terrible mood. And nothing really triggered it, it just happened. The thing is, this kind of a this kind of a thought pattern would have been really helpful a few million years ago if you were running away from a tiger. Once you actually escaped the tiger and the stressful event was behind you, your mind would still race to ensure that just in case there are other tigers in the environment, you can catch them and you're not off guard. So when you were running away from predators, this thinking was great. But unfortunately, in today's world, this is not a very healthy way to think. Have you ever been in that situation? Actually, I'm sure that you must have been in this, that you listen to a very catchy song and then it gets stuck in your head. That song just keeps playing over and over and over again. And there is simply no way that you can push a button and the song stops. You have to let it play out. You have to let your mind get bored of it and let it go. The same concept applies to thoughts and especially these thought spirals. There is no immediate way for you to just shut them down. Instead, the moment you have a thought spiral, you have to use the concept of acceptance. If you're having it, you'll have to tell yourself that it's fine. This is just a negative thought spiral. It doesn't mean anything and it's going to go away after a while. What we recommend is using a trigger word. You can use using a trigger word to actually help you start the acceptance process. You can choose any word that you want. From our side, we would recommend the word accept, which means that anytime you actually start having a negative thought spiral, you just say accept. And then you examine that thought, you just listen to it, you go through the words, and you keep saying accept. And this is a good way to remind yourself that it's a meaningless stream of negative words and it doesn't actually reflect truth or fact about you. Now, the moment you use this trigger word technique, you're actually taking control of your mind. You remember how we discussed Pavlovian conditioning, where there was a stimulus, and because of that stimulus, you would get a conditioned response. This normally happens without your control. You find stimuluses in your environment, and you develop responses to it. Here, we are going to do a role reversal, and inside our heads, we are going to create our own stimulus, which is saying the word accept. And the conditioned response to this is a calm and peaceful state of mind. Initially, as with all of these processes, you might feel a little bit more stress because you're going to be very aware of each and every negative thought. But as you start getting more used to this, even when you do feel anxious and your body has physical symptoms of anxiety, once you say accept and you trigger a more calm state of mind, despite these anxious symptoms, you'll still be able to do the work that you actually set out to do. Unlike before, when the moment you became anxious, you would just stop. And this is not the case anymore. Now, we've touched upon the principle earlier that when you have that environment, environment, thoughts, emotions, behavior cycle, that your thoughts influence your emotions. But the link is equally strong the other way around as well. What I mean is this: when your mind is gripped with very strong emotions, it actually leads to what is known as distorted thinking. It All of those emotions create negative thoughts which are wildly inaccurate and they don't actually represent a logical state of mind, which you would normally do if you weren't completely swept away by an emotion. I'm sure that you must have gone through um, this experience where you got really angry, said a lot of mean things to someone, And later, when you cool down, you ask yourself, how did I even end up saying that? That's so unlike me. This is a very powerful phenomenon. This teaches you the fact that a lot of things that you think during a very emotional phase are actually not true at all, and they don't even represent what you truly believe. Let's actually look at the different kinds of thought patterns that tend to emerge from anxious thinking.